Good morning, it's Brian. It's the Art of Startup War. We are back again with another incredible entrepreneur, a startup, a phenomenal company that's breaking through that we, Expert Dojo, have invested in. Why did we invest in this company? Because we believe this company has the potential to be a unicorn. We believe that there is a technology built into this company which is so sorely needed by consumers and by businesses alike that it will scale to insane heights. We believe this company can get up to a revenue of $10 million a month. We believe that this technology can be in every household in one way or another. And we believe that it has multiple different applications, which is highly unusual. Okay, so any venture capitalist will say that you normally focus on one very narrow market and you stick there. In this particular case, Anri and what she's done with AISpotter actually fits into multiple markets. So on the podcast today, we're going to unwrap, number one, why we invested and then what we saw in the product that we felt could really break through. We're going to look at the genesis of where the idea came from. We're going to look at how it's all put together. We're going to talk a little bit about the team, and I'm going to ask the questions that other investors will want to know the answers to for you to make some investing decisions. Then we are going to get to the most important part, which is how do we scale this incredible product to the levels that it needs to get to for investors to be able to get a return. And as always, it's kind of nice for people to listen into because you're not just hearing us talking hypothetically about a great founder that's doing wonderful things. You're hearing from the people who are investing in the company and you are hearing from the company that is being invested in. So let us begin. Anri, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. And you are calling in from Scandinavia. As everybody knows, we invest all over the world. We've invested in companies in Scandinavia before, in Finland. We've invested in companies in Europe, in India, and Pakistan, and Israel, and Latin America, and everywhere in between. Only place we have not invested in actually is China, but we've hit pretty much most of the other countries. And I love investing in Scandinavia. You know why I love investing in Scandinavia?
We have the best tech what you can ever imagine in the world.
Correct. That's right. That was such a random question that could have had 1,000 answers, but it only really had one. Scandinavia is this really strange place because everybody attributes Israel to having the best technology in the world, which, to be fair, they have phenomenal technology, which is why we invest in Israel all the time. But Scandinavia quietly build these unicorns and then throw them out with phenomenal technology. And some of them are the really complicated ones like the Nokias that came through all those years ago. And other ones are in the music area like Spotify. And then there's so many other companies that came through as well. And it's because your ability to build really thoughtfully considered technology, which has got phenomenal product fit, is incredible. And I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's the reliability and the efficiency of just having Germany relatively close. I'm not sure if it's the beauty and the scenery and the aesthetics and the just the gorgeousness of Scandinavia and how it is. If it's the thought process of the people. Why do you think so many great technology companies come out of Scandinavia?
I think that it's a combination of all those and our history that we have to, because we are here up north, we have to develop new things that we survive here up north. Like we were the first one to develop the mobile phone that we can communicate with with each other because we have such a long distances. And after that, we've been continuing the same path.
Excellent. It's very true, right? And it's so incredible. It's true. If you are isolated, you either hide away and you are the worst innovator in the world, or you become the greatest innovators in the world because you want to solve all the problems that you're facing. And for any of you who do not believe me, have a look on the Bloomberg innovation charts for which countries are ranked ahead of America in terms of innovation. And you will find Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Finland are on that list. America are number 13. And it's for all of the reasons Anri said there. So I want to talk about you. Let's go into AISpotter. Let's talk about what it is. When was the moment when you suddenly realized that this was going to consume every single waking hour for the next, I don't know how many years of your life?
When was that? I think that it was when I first found and meet my co-founder Sami, and we start discussing about how we can get how can we use the technology and research developed in the University of Oulu last 30 years in computer vision department.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out at that time that there is a huge opportunity to take full advantage of computer vision and take that to various businesses, and we decided to start from sports, and because that was something that we both liked. But afterwards we have find out that there are multiple opportunities, and we have followed those paths since then.
Wonderful. So you've given a little clue to the product, and you've mentioned computer vision. And computer vision is one of those terms where everybody thinks, oh, that's got to be good. But nobody's quite sure what it is. How would you describe computer vision?
Computer vision makes possible to find from the video the specific predefined events, what we have learned and teach to our algorithm to find. That makes our life easier with this information flow what we have around us. Mm-hmm. And that makes us make that fully automated and actually find out, for example, from football matches, the corner kicks, goals, and so on. When we teach the algorithm find those matches, those events from those matches.
Wonderful. And many people have watched highlights from games over the years. Everybody loves their football, whether it's their soccer, their American football, or their baseball. And, you know, people want to always be able to come in for the best parts of the game. And of course, back in the early days, I'm sure there were multiple people looking at screens, picking out which was the best piece, and then cutting that piece, and then adding all of those cuts together. You can only imagine how time intensive that job was. And then computer vision came in, and computer vision then allowed people to be able to use technology and the intelligence that computers were gaining to be able to actually pick out the best pieces based on the rule-based learning that computers had been given. And then you take that one step further, I suppose, when you build in machine learning. And machine learning is when the computers are actually learning from both their mistakes and also from what they choose very well to become better and smarter to the level where the computers can probably pick out better than humans would be able to. Are we at that stage?
Yes, we are going that stage, and the computer vision and the machine learning will be as good as we humans. We people want to take that. So always in computer vision and in this technology, there is the people behind of that technology and set the rules for what we find out from the video.
Wonderful. And now everybody's getting a clue as to what got us excited over at Expert Dojo, right? Because at the end of the day, there are many rule-based algorithms which have been put in place, but there are very few great technologies that can literally analyze what's happening inside a video, and based on the analysis can actually make predictions for what's going to happen alongside being able to showcase what has already happened. Because one of the biggest challenges any of us have, and I don't care if it's politicians that are, looking at the old videos that they did before, or whether it's us looking at security footage outside our front of our house, or even whether it's somebody who's trying to learn football or trying to learn tennis or something else and they're watching themselves on video. One of the biggest challenges we have is actually being able to take the knowledge that we have and be able to make better decisions to create better outcomes in the future. And this is where you got me with your technology. And you said to me, Brian, All other technologies will be able to analyze what's happened. Sure, that's out there. But what there is not are technologies that will actually look at the behaviors and try and look for anomalies within that behaviors that will then showcase either A, if it's within sports and we can maybe train people better and have them become better performing sports people, which is just would be a miracle for me. Or if it's maybe somebody standing outside a bank and that person is standing there in an awkward way, or they're looking over their shoulder, or they're doing things that would be behaviors that would not be expected. And that allows us to make better decision making because of that. Talk to us a little bit about how difficult and complicated this technology was to build, and how close to this perfect computer vision that you've actually come to.
Yes, this has taken years to get the intelligence level what we have, and the intelligence level what we have is one of the highest one you can find in this world in video analysis. So as a background, we have years and years research done in the University of Oulu, and that has required a lot of applications from different fields, and then take that to current level. And that's because of our amazing co-founder Sami. He has such a long experience in developing computer vision applications in various fields, and that has make us possible to develop our technology. In computer vision, is a crucial thing is that we get first-class images and also have first-class models to teach the algorithm find the events what we want to find from the video, like we have done abnormal behavior or corner gigs or calls or even animals. And also to find the events from the video, we need first-class videos. Like for us, it's enough that if we find events and moments from 720p videos, but the video have to be first class. But also when we teach our algorithm to find these highlights and moments, we have to take account many kind of things, account like the weather conditions, and if there is raining or that kind of special conditions when we teach our algorithm to find the events. So it's not that straightforward as you can imagine that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just a line of code that you put in and say, be smarter, computer, and find things that other computers don't find. You literally, it's a little bit like, when I think about what you do, it's a little bit like a sniper with a rifle trying to shoot a target which is a mile away. You have to allow for the wind in that particular moment. You have to allow for the sun. You have to allow for the time of the day, because that will have a certain amount of humidity that will be within the air. You have to allow for whether you're going to be going through mountains or whether you're going over roads and you've got less resistance. Like, there are so many things to allow for that it actually takes years to build the technology, which for me was a wonderful thing, because it gives you a barrier. It means that you're not only ahead of other folks that are doing this, but you're ahead with a technology that it's going to take a long time for anybody else to be able to catch up with you.
Yes, exactly that way. Yes, like the example what we had last week was that with our algorithm Coppa Italia finals. We could do that in live video broadcasting. We could catch up the goals in under 5 seconds from the live video and make the highlights and timestamps from those videos. So to make that possible, our algorithm have been teach hundreds and hundreds of images to make that possible, that we can find automatically like goals from live stream video in seconds.
Wow, absolutely incredible. And you know, for all of you investors who are over in Europe, I'm sure you were watching the Coppa Italia and watching Juventus do their magic. And so all of the actual highlights that you were seeing there was being powered by AISpotter. But I even take it further. Look, when we first started chatting, we were going through it and we had people look at the technology and then we got all excited. I was at a stage where I thought, oh, this is great because for sports, it's going to be wonderful because it can look at me and it can watch my swing, maybe playing tennis. And then it can say, Brian, if you could just hold your racket back an extra couple of seconds. And then I thought, wow, imagine the implications for parents with their kids playing baseball. You know, you're starting to play soccer, you're throwing in American football. There's potential for performance improvement off the charts. But actually, I've moved to a different place after knowing you for a couple of months and starting to see the implications that you have. I actually think even within security, there are huge applications. How many of us have got cameras at our home? And how many of those cameras are smart cameras? Kind of zero. Most of the cameras are dumb cameras. They do one little itty bitty thing. They just tell us if somebody's close. That's it. You know, and then maybe just so it feels good and it looks good, they put a little box around that person so that we can see that it's a person who's in motion. But it's not giving us any data as to the probable likely outcome of whatever that incident is. And that's where your technology is incredibly important. I see the implications that you can have where you can liaise with the folks over at Ring that are putting entire security, or ADC, or ADT, or anybody else out there that want to make sure that their security is smart, not just active.
Yes, exactly. We see very clearly that in the coming years, the cameras and the video surveillance systems, they will have more intelligence inside the camera, and that makes possible that we can find from your video what the events what you want to find out from. For example, at home, is your dog outside at home, and if there is coming some people that have suspicious behavior or something that you don't want to open your door to them. So that's also totally possible to make.
And for older people, that's incredibly important because they want to make sure, because you can almost visualize what that behavior would look like. You walk up to the door, you're looking over your shoulder, you're looking back, you're looking over your shoulder, you're checking the front, you're checking around the back. Like, you can see that behavior, but you can only see it if the system is looking for it. Because by the time you get to your doorbell, it's too late. The person's just standing at the door facing you straight in there. So you need some help. So the more I look at your technology, the more I go down this terrible VC path, which is I see so many applications. It's like there's I see applications everywhere, right? Everywhere I look, I see applications with the police. So the police, they have is a camera, but that doesn't take into account the circumstances of what's happening. And I want to have my behavioral psychologist right here on the camera, so it's telling me if there was somebody about to do something that looked dangerous or things. So I imagine you're facing a similar challenge, which is that there's so many markets to go after. Where do you go after first?
Yes, exactly. There is so many opportunities with our technology, and we have started our businesses in sport analytics, and that has made proved that our technology is working, and we understand actually what happens in the video, because like in football, it's a very fast game, and it's a long game. So you have to be able to analyze 2 hours video and all the predefined events for your customers. So we can take that technology to, for example, to security, and then find the goals and corner kicks to other events, like if there is people lying on the floor, or people is doing something abnormal behavior. So that has the work what we have done before makes us possible to move to new businesses like security, and take that full potential what that business sector makes us. We have started, we will start security business like in B2B, but and also that's also possible to take to B2C, and also license that to camera providers, like we talked earlier, that we bring intelligence inside the camera. So there is only in security side, there is at least these 3 business areas is a billion-dollar business in the coming years.
Each one. And that's my message.
Each one of them.
Look, we're not, for folks listening to this, I'm not a promoter. I'm not here on a podcast saying, I know this startup, she's great, it's a super company, you should invest in this startup. I'm an investor. We at Expert Dojo are investors. We put our money into this company because we think this company is sensational. And we're saying to you merely what we have done. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's multiple billion-dollar companies here, really. And so we're not questioning, is there an application? We're not questioning, can the company get through? The only thing is like, is the technology as good as Brian is saying that the technology is? That's the only question really here, because everything else, it goes through so beautifully. We have a team of scientists who have built this thing. The technology has come from academia. It has already been tested in sports. And Anri, so we were talking a little bit about, the other applications, and obviously where the other investors would be interested in. And what was very interesting to me is the application within the financial space, within the banking space. And I know that due to confidentiality and NDAs that you are not allowed to talk about which banks are actually using you to protect their ATMs and their banks. But I would like to talk about the generality of why they're using you. So if you can give me an example of one of the banking cases, what they've done with the technology inside the cameras, and what result they're trying to get from that.
Yes, banking case is very important for us, and why they're using us is because they have tried a couple of others service providers, and they couldn't make the service what the bank was looking after. So for the banks, the security is very, very, very sensitive issue, and and they want to secure, for example, the ATM machines, and and especially night times when all these crimes happens. So they want to find, and also what they want to secure is that, because when that accident happened for ATM machines, it's full of money, and they don't take only the money, but they also crash the whole machine. So that's very costly for banks. So to avoid that kind of situation, that somebody, break down your ATM cash machine, we can prevent that not happening with our intelligent analysis. We do that way that we understand when people coming in, we understand if he's behaving abnormal way or carrying something suspicious, like suspicious issues like big bags or or is wearing something, special kind of clothes, or having masks or something like that. So that's what they are looking after. And especially the normal time, outside of COVID time, nearly every week happen that kind of attack to ATM cash machine.
Of course, yeah. People are attacking banks all the time, and not just attacking banks. Like people, let's take it a step further. So right now, investors who are listening, you hear that there are applications within soccer. No, we're not talking applications within kids teams playing on a Sunday league. We're talking like the Italian Cup. We're talking like the Bundesliga, like major divisions, right? We know that there are applications in the financial space where banks are looking to use proper machine learning and proper computer vision to be able to give them potential outcomes. They don't want to look at the tapes after the bank has been stolen and then after the bank has been robbed and say, well, I can tell from these people here. No, they want to find out when it's in the moment. So imagine what the capabilities here are. And what I really like about this stuff is that you only have to be worried about this technology if you're a bad guy. This technology doesn't come after good guys and gals, right? I walk down the street, I'm not suspicious, I go into the bank, I take out my money, I say hello to people, I leave. Nothing's going to alert about me. This is for people whereby there are behaviors which are very specific and obvious behaviors that will showcase if a likely outcome is going to happen. I personally would love to see this in the street cameras. I would love to see cities having access to this. I'm sick and tired of people doing bad things in the street, whether it's stealing from people or whether it's hurting people or doing terrible things. And you can see to a certain extent, because we can see, if we see that person in the street, we look at them. You ever sat in a shop or on the street and you look at someone and you think, oh my God, that guy's suspicious? This is exactly what the cameras are able to do. So anyway, we've covered the technology a lot, but suffice it to say, whether it's cameras in the streets, whether it's the live applications today in the bank, whether it's the live applications for wildlife, of which there are huge applications for as well, or whether it's within security, or whether it's within sports, all of these are phenomenal applications and we're going after them all. We're going to help Anri build the biggest sales team she's ever had, and we are going to push this out to market in a way that's going to be breakneck speed. Okay, so let's talk about now the final segment of the podcast, which is how do we make sure that we build your revenue up to $100,000 a month as quickly as possible, because right now most of what you have are in pilots. And then how do we then make sure that we drive that up to $1 million or $10 million a month? So I'd like to talk about some of the tactics we can, and you've mentioned a few already. I think licensing to cameras seems to me an incredible opportunity. I mean, I got to think that if we take some of the existing maybe security camera people, isn't there a phenomenal opportunity to have a license fee for every single one of these that you're inside?
Yes, sure, because the number of cameras, it's increasing every single city in this world. So that's a huge opportunity. I mean, that in the future there will be billions of cameras everywhere around us to secure our environment and the place where we live.
This is not a market that's getting smaller, right? This is a market that's going to be huge. So how do you approach these camera providers or the security providers? And then how do you fit that in the plan? And how does that become part of your growth plan going forward?
We meet the camera providers by partnering them and understanding their needs. And because we see that camera providers, they are sort of at this moment, cameras, they don't have much intelligence inside. So with our service and intelligence, camera providers also can provide more content to their subscribers in security sector. So licensing is one opportunity in that sense. And we in the world there are 4-5 big camera providers, and we're looking forward to start discussions with them how we can get into the camera camera provider ecosystem. Inside that ecosystem. So
wonderful. And those of you who know us over at Expert Dojo, you will know that we are a growth hacking accelerator. We're a hyper growth accelerator. We are focused on all of the companies that we invest in, scaling like crazy, but on a nice strong foundation, right? So they feel really good about what they're doing, as opposed to just looking for investment. Investment comes when the scaling starts. That's how this whole game is played. So from your side of it, Anri, we've got those. I love the license play, because rather than going to 1,000 people and selling 1,000 times, just going to one person and one company and have them sell 1,000 times for us, or 10,000 times, or 100,000 times, and get a smaller amount of money, we'll take that every single day of the week. So OEMs and partners are resellers. I love that. What other ways do we have? What other markets can we break into?
What markets we are going to break? I think the biggest market are in the US in security side. So that's totally where we are heading in the near future.
I love that. So maybe hire a security-focused salesperson and have that salesperson go head first into the security space. The home security space has got to be the greatest opportunity on the planet, because everybody's getting used to it now. We're all used to our Alexa. We all have it in the house. We understand that by having there are a lot of advantages to being able to take help and assistance from computers, which means that there is no real need to train a new behavior for consumers, because consumers will already accept and really love this. I think that's a phenomenal segment to go after. And then also the aging population as well, right?
Yes, exactly. And the technology, now we have some level the technology, but in the future our technology will be as a self-learning service, that the more content we get and have, then it's in the future it will be as a self-learning service. And also in the elderly people, this is very important service for them, and make them feel more secure at home and wherever they live. And so if, for example, if they are falling down and they have a camera system at home, so there goes instantly to alarm to a service provider that now something happened, that this elderly people needs help. So that's what we can do in the future.
Wonderful. So now many of you have heard on these podcasts before, we always will go into this last segment and look at market scaling and how do we do market scaling. And sometimes we will look at channels, and sometimes we look at cost of customer acquisition versus the retention of the consumers as we're bringing them onto the app or whatever else that we have them coming into. And other times that we will look at referrals and other areas here. Today, we're very specifically looking at market segmentation. And for many startups, as you're growing, this has got to be something you really understand. I really like the opportunity of going after the elderly care market. I really like the idea of going after the security market. And I really, really, really like the idea of going after the OEM market, the reseller market, the market where we can actually get folks to sell for us. Because that way, you can do what you do best, which is build incredible technology that through video analysis helps companies and people make better decisions. Like, that's it. Nothing else matters. So, Anri, we've had some phenomenal feedback on what you're doing. I mean, I get it, obviously, because we invested and we love it. Other investors will be getting it now as well. For anyone to contact you, how can they contact you? And maybe leave us with a last message for investors as to why an investment in AISpotter is a good investment.
We are good investment because we can scale, and we can scale fast, and there are multiple business opportunities in addition to sports and security, and even inside the security there are multiple opportunities, and we can scale our sales with these three sales channels like OEM, resellers, and licensing. So that makes us sales the best and efficient way what we can do in the future. And you can reach me via my LinkedIn address or send me email or call me.
Yeah, so on the email, what's the easiest email to catch you on? Or to even get through to AISpotter? It can even be an info email, whatever you prefer.
It's ANRI@AISpotter.com.
Okay, so that was a little bit choppy, but I'm going to say it again. ANRI@AISpotter. AISpotter.com. Okay, Anri, it's been a pleasure. I couldn't be happier the fact that we've got an investment into you. I think it's going to be great times to come. We're going to build a huge company, and we are going to have AISpotter as the driving force, as the powered by for every single camera on the planet. You heard it here.